Hi, welcome back to another garden tour. Today's garden tour, it's June 2022. I haven't done one in a while. I also haven't gardened since last week. I did a little bit last weekend, so ignore the dog poop and all the things that are not where they're supposed to be. So we have some volunteer tomatoes here. These are actually all volunteers. The berries are going crazy. I'm picking so many berries every other day, missing a ton that get just dried up because there's just so many. There's also a bunch of cherry tomatoes mixed in here that are volunteers. And then this, I'm not sure if I planted this or it's just a million tomatoes growing from a leftover seed. And then we have some corn here. The sage and oregano is doing really well. This is a cucumber. Haven't gotten any of it yet, but it's okay. I need to move it to make some room for those plants. I just picked a bunch of bell peppers this morning, some purple ones, so I'm waiting to see if that is a green one or purple like that. The watermelon, I'll show you some little watermelons in a minute. This is some kind of melon that doesn't have anything yet. I just picked a bunch of cucumbers from this. Hopefully they aren't bitter because they got a slow start to the season. A little volunteer, I'm not sure what that is, so I'm keeping it. More volunteer tomatoes. Look at all of that, it's crazy. The nasturtium in the middle grew from one seed that I planted last spring, so it's over a year old. It did really well over the winter. And all of these outside of the garden bed are volunteers mixed in with some lovely weeds. I did plant some melons that are getting a slow start. The peas are finally gone and dead, so I'll pick those off for planting for some other time. But I believe it's June 5th, and it rained last night, which is crazy. It doesn't rain in the Bay Area much, so waking up to this was really cool. I got these pepper plants from the store as plant starts, different varieties. And then this, I thought it was a melon at first that was just not getting big leaves because of the sun, but let's see, it's actually cucamelon. So I am so excited because I've been trying to grow cucamelon for so long and it takes a really long time to get started. It never really does well. So I think I'm gonna actually get some cucamelons this year. So I gotta prop that up because it's a vine. These were the peppers that I overwintered, this grouping right here. So that's really exciting that some of the pepper plants worked. And then last spring I planted a snapdragon in each corner and they're growing this year. So that was a fun surprise. And then a whole bunch of little baby watermelons growing. Weeds all over. The trellis, it's not going to be as crazy as last year. I didn't plant as much. I also planted later and had to replant. But I got this beautiful thyme that likes to blow in the middle of the night and I'm not used to it yet. So here we have our tall vine. And then we have lettuce leaf basil, which is doing really good. It doesn't love the heat, so we had a heat wave, but then now we're back to nice mild temperatures, which is kind of odd for June. Another cucamelon that's doing good. The grapevine has taken over. There were some beautiful poppies here and snapdragons. The calla lily and the Gerber are coming up. Forsythia is coming up. The hops look amazing. So you can see lots of hops in here, which is super cool. Very low maintenance plant. I love the color of this calla lily, but I actually got it because of the leaves, the speckled leaves, and this is one of my favorite colors, the salmon. The hosta there and there did good. Next year I'm going to try to eat the little new growths, stir fry them because that's what's recommended. I just planted this, so it's going through a little shock, but look at how pretty that Gerber daisy is. The bleeding heart is no longer flowering, but that was a really nice surprise one morning to come out for that. This was garlic that I just picked, and then I replanted some different squash seeds because Johnny likes squash, so we got our first one there. So this is going to be a little bit on the later side, but that's okay. The perennial flower area, it's got a lot of work to go, but it also normally is really dry and really hot. So this part is doing good. I don't know how to pronounce this, but it's like, it starts with a G, the flower. I cannot even try to pronounce it. And look at that pup. Hi, Zafron. Hi, pretty girl. Okay, and then got some new flowers here that grew this year that I really like. That is the best Gerber daisy plant. It's doing so good. And then the Shiro plum I had to cover because of the birds. So looks like getting toward ripeness. Lemon verbena. I'm going to be harvesting a lot of that for some jam for those berries very soon. This is an overwintered serrano. And then some Genovese basil and a random potato that I planted. And then Scarlett's corn keeps falling over. This is popcorn, blue and pink popcorn. And it's interesting because the tassels are out, which should pollinate the ear of corn, but there are no ears of corn. So I'm not sure how popcorn works because it's different from my experience with regular corn that you eat when it's soft. So here, this is supposed to be all acorn squash. You can see there's the start to some acorns. But then over here, we have this random guy. So these acorn squash were my seeds that I saved from plants. So I'm thinking that this funky looking guy was one that got cross-pollinated. So it'll be interesting to see. I'm not sure if I should pick it or if I am still treating it as a winter squash. Let's see, what did we plant over here? There's something very round. So I'm not sure what kind of winter squash I planted here, but we will find out soon. It might be a variety. And then here we have some parsley going to seed, letting it do its thing. Another random potato. The violas are actually really dying out. They were doing so beautifully in spring. It's getting a little hot, but I also leave them because they tend to reproduce on their own. This is cilantro that I'm letting go to seed. And then these are tomatillos. There's a bunch of them. They got very leggy because they were hidden by poppy plants. So I pulled all the poppy plants and I had to kind of like help tie it up a little bit. So, and the poppy plants have died out as well. And then we got our apricot tree. It's not ripe yet, but I might need to get some bird netting for that, but it's got a lot of fruit on it for not being very old. And then some more vines down here. I just love these flowers and they're so easy to pollinate and so fun. Here's one that fell off before it was able to open and be pollinated, so the male and the female need to work together. Let's see if we have any fruit in this little mini nectarine. Nope, doesn't look like it, not this year. But look at how pretty. And our variegated lemon has not produced anything yet, but for whatever reason, citrus seems to take a little longer to take off here. So I do see a little flower right there. So hopefully someday soon I'll get a pink lemon. I fail at composting, and my compost does not do well at all. I don't really know how to do it, so I just let it be. And I think that's pretty much it. Got some persimmons here. We have this tree that just like makes this fly everywhere and gets just so annoying. It gets on everything. But yeah, that's the garden. Here's the avocado tree. Nothing yet. I should probably start staking this up because it's laying all over the ground. And the lime it's getting really bushy. It's prickly. Some flowers. Anise growing in the green stalk. I'm planting flowers, but I've been so busy with work that I haven't been able to really water it. And then here's our harvest from this morning. It's got some white cucumbers, some candy cane bells, some kind of peppers, bell pepper. Look at this funky one. And some squash. So yeah, that's the garden. Nice and calm and quiet and wet on this Sunday morning.